Hi everyone, my name's Ryan. Welcome to my game room. I'm the creator of Origin 17, a touchscreen HDMI switch with 17 ports and infrared remote control. I've been quiet for a couple of years since I last talked about this project. I haven't gone away. I've been working on a new version of Origin. That new version is finally complete, and I'm going to demo it for you today. The new version supports HDMI 2.0, and it is customizable anywhere from a 5-port version up to a 25-port version. I support a 3.2-inch display or a 7-inch display on the large version. The 7-inch one with 25 ports is what I'm using in my setup. I think it's pretty awesome, and I'm hoping you'll agree. I'm going to demo it for you now. So this is what it looks like. Right now I've got Apple TV going with some Apple Arcade Castlevania. I'm going to touch the screen to activate it. And you can see I've got my game systems programmed in there. If I want to change over, I'm done with the Apple TV, I'm going to go to TurboGrafx. All I do is touch that, and it takes a few seconds to sync, but then the TurboGrafx comes right up. Say I'm done with that, want to go over to Super NES, just touch it, wait for it to sync, and the Super Nintendo is now ready to go. I think it's pretty easy. Anybody that doesn't know my setup can come right in and just touch that and see exactly what they want to get to, and all they have to do is touch it and it does everything else for them. I did have to do some setup as far as, like, most of these systems are HDMI modded, the ones that don't come with native support for it. Any that don't have don't have mods for HDMI, like the Atari here, that I've got a RetroTink hooked up to, and so they're all coming into this unit, the Origin switch, as HDMI. And then the TV always stays on the same input. There's never a question of what needs to be switched to what. Very straightforward. So if I want to add a new system to this or change any configuration, all I do is touch and hold on any button. It doesn't matter which one. And it takes me to the configuration menu. I can go into label inputs, and I can change the name of any existing input or add a new one on one of these blank spaces here. It just brings up a keyboard. I can type in whatever the name is. It supports capital or lowercase letters, a bunch of symbols. Very straightforward. I would just type it in and save it. I can do change the color scheme. If you don't like the red, green, and black that I've come up with, you can customize any of that in here. And remote control, this allows you to program most any infrared remote control for any of these functions. So if I have a new remote or an old remote, I can take something from an old VCR or DVD player or whatever, and you program it to work with the Origin display just through this menu. You can have it jump to a specific input if you've got a remote control with enough buttons for that, or if you've got some like favorite inputs that you want to have direct buttons to jump to, you can do that in here. You can adjust the brightness of the display, and it's got a screensaver function. Right now I've got it set to turn the display off after 10 seconds. That interval is configurable, and the brightness is configurable. I have it turning all the way off, but if you want to just dim down to a dimmer screen brightness, you can do that in here as well. That's pretty much all there is to it. Very straightforward, very easy to use. I want to show you some of the hardware as well. So I have built up a second version of this, or a second one of these here. This is the back of the 25-port version. You can see I've got all the ports are labeled. The port numbers are directly in the 3D printed enclosure. I print them with multiple materials. So I've got a white filament and a black filament in this case, so that it stands out, and you don't have to worry about stickers or anything coming off or anything like that. It's all part of it. The jumper wires here are the way that the signals pass from one switch to another. Internally, this is made with 6 5-port HDMI switches. So there's one on the bottom that's kind of the hub that everything goes through, and then above it there are 5 more HDMI switches, 5 ports apiece. That these are commercially produced switches that I'm just modifying and having an Arduino control them and tell them which input to jump to. So if I want to play input 4, it's going to tell the bottom switch to jump to input 1 and the top switch to jump to input 4 so that it gets the correct signal out to your TV. I did play around with putting some of this internal. It's a lot of extra effort, and I don't think it's worth it. I had some trouble with interference and so forth, so I ended up just going with external jumper cables to keep things as simple as I possibly can. And as you can see in my setup here, once it's in your entertainment center, nobody's going to see the wiring anyway, so it really is not worth the trouble to make it internal. That's pretty much that. I'm going to show you the inside. I left the lid on this loose on purpose. So here is, the board out of a commercially produced HDMI switch. You can see I've tapped into it where like the LEDs used to be. That's how I'm sensing like what input is selected. And I've also tapped into the change input button so that the Arduino can change it to a different input when you touch something on the display. The display itself is a next-gen display. It has its own processor, so all of the user interface is happening on the display itself. And so it's very fast because it is a separate processor. It doesn't have to wait for the Arduino to do anything. And then it just tells the Arduino when you've touched something, hey, change to this input. So it's really, really slick. It's really fast, really responsive. And I'm really very happy with it. I think you will be as well. I've got in the bottom there, I've got the Arduino controller for everything. And on the side, I've got an SD card reader for saving all the settings. And then there's just a little power board over here where everything comes in and splits out to power all the devices. That's pretty much all there is to it. I wanted to keep this video kind of short, so I am uploading a build video of how to make one, and I'm going to release all the files that you'll need and some information on how to do it, links to all the various parts that you'll need and approximate cost and all that. That's all going to be on GitHub. So please let me know what you think of the project, and if you're able to contribute, that would be awesome. My pinball machine decided it was not getting enough attention here, so it's making some noise for me. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, and just get involved in the project if you can, and let me know what you think. Thanks.